I grew up almost in the middle of Germany. It's a very hilly, a nice area there, and I always wanted to become a farmer because I love cows and I love the countryside and I love nature. But there were two reasons why I did not become a farmer. The one reason was that I was a girl and that I am a woman. And as a woman, my only chance to become a farmer was to marry a farmer. And that's not what I wanted. Because I wanted to be the farmer and not just the farmer's wife. So there is a saying from the Bible or in the church that says "Ora et labora." So I was taught when I pray, I don't get into temptation to become a sinner. So as long as you are working, you cannot be a sinner. And as long as you are sleeping because you have to recover from that work, you cannot be a sinner. And this is something I thought, this is not okay. There must be something more. It's not just working and praying and sleeping. There must be some other kind of life. So this has also to do with applying. Means I have when I do a piece of art or when I'm creating a lamp that is just now shining on me. That's a lamp that I created, or I also create sculptures for growing my plants. To give you an answer, it's when you make a piece of art, you have a vision, you have an image in your mind, you have an idea how it might look like. But as soon as you start creating, you face reality and you see, okay, this plate is so heavy, you need another material. This doesn't fit to this piece. So you always have to put things together. It's always experimenting. And in philosophy, when you ask questions, you always, you are standing here and maybe there's another stone and you can put your foot on that stone and then you find another way to go. It's always looking for ways of thinking about things. Yes, my background is in philosophy, but also philanthropy. I'm very much into the arts, liberal arts, the humanities. That's my background. But I always have been very keen on having philosophy also in business. So this is what I'm working on since more than 25 years now.
All
That
right.
means I want business to be value oriented.
That's so interesting. I love that. I love that. We'll pay a lot of attention to value here. All right. Could you tell me how you get into business? Why? How did you get into business? Maybe we can start from there.
Yeah. Okay, so I studied philosophy and art history, but I became also an artist myself. And so I thought maybe it's a good thing to do to have my own exhibitions, but earn the money in the economy. And so this is how I switched into consultancy, and that started 26 years ago. And I'm still doing art and still working in the consultant business.
All right. Could you tell me a bit about your artistry? What do you work on within your artistic area?
Yeah. I do installation art, so it's kind of interior design, but it's more that I go into spaces. For example, in Toronto, there's a hotel called the Gladstone Hotel and has a big history also in the queer community. And so I applied for an artist program called Come Up to My Room, and so I designed a room for that hotel. And going back into the history of this Gladstone Hotel, and so this is one thing how I work. The other thing is my material. I always work with food, especially with sweets, because I love sweets. Not so much for eating, but more for making art of it, because they are very, very beautiful in the colors. And yeah, it's very much about the lust for life, I think, because it's very joyful, very playful. And yeah, I like to work with such things.
Did I hear you say you don't like sweet or you like sweet to eat?
Well, I always try to care for nurturing myself or eating healthy food, and I know that sweets and sugar and that is not so healthy, but that's not the reason why. Actually, it has a more religious background because I was taught not to play with food when I was a child because I grew up very religiously. And so, since I'm always a bit rebellious or asking myself, why am I not allowed to play with food and with sweets? So, I started playing with that, somehow breaking the rules like an artist.
All right. Okay, Christiane, now you made mention of childhood. You know, here we do a lot of storytelling. So take us
Mhm,
to the background. Where did you grow
mhm.
up? What do you remember of your childhood?
Yes. I grew up on the countryside on the farm of my parents, and I come from a old farmers tradition. My family is more than 400 years a farmers family, but poor farmers, not having such a big ground, but always making their living from their own country. And so I was, as a child, very much outside. I was always trying to find fishes in the sea, and I tried diving and swimming. I taught myself swimming in a lake there. It was very dangerous, but that's how I am. Always trying out things. And of course, when I came back and told my mother, she was really freaking out. But in the end, I made it. So it's a bit like I was always very adventurous as a child, and of course I hurt myself from time to time when I climbed up a tree and fell down. But sometimes I think I'm very much like that child that I was when I was like 6 years old before I went to school. That's
Uh,
how my childhood is or was.
Very adventurous, no?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Um, so what were you sort of what was inspiring you at the time? I mean, what were you wanting to become as an adult? Now that you're a child growing up. Of course, you didn't even make mention of your town, your village, your city. Where did you grow up?
Mm-hmm. I grew up almost in the middle of Germany. It's a very hilly, a nice area there, and I always wanted to become a farmer because I love cows and I love the countryside and I love nature. But there were two reasons why I did not become a farmer. The one reason was that I was a girl and that I am a woman. And as a woman, my only chance to become a farmer was to marry a farmer. And that's not what I wanted. because I wanted to be the farmer and not just the farmer's wife. This was one thing, and the other thing, even more important, or this, in the same way, is that to make a living from that small farm that we had meant that we went for industrializing the farm, and this was something I didn't like. So the way the animals were treated, the way the country was treated, the whole agriculture turned into industry and industrializing, and that's what I really did not like. And when I was 16 years old, I decided to become a philosopher.
All right. That's lovely. That's lovely. But what influenced your decision to become a philosopher? Was there somebody else who was inspiring you, somebody you read about or something? Or did it just happen like that?
No. So there is a saying from the Bible or in the church that says "ora et labora." So I was taught when I pray, I don't get into temptation to become a sinner. So as long as you are working, you cannot be a sinner, and as long as you are sleeping because you have to recover from that work, you cannot be a sinner. And this is something I thought, this is not okay. There must be something more. It's not just working and praying and sleeping. There must be some other kind of life. And since I'm such a explorer, I was having a look if there's something around going behind the religious prayer and asking for other ways of thinking and other ways of looking at the world. That's how I would say it now. When I was 16 years old, I went to it's the Volkshochschule. It's I went to the next city, and then there was a program, and then I started with a course was called how you say the ground rules of philosophy and ancient philosophers. And so this is how I found out about philosophy, and I fell in love with it. And so that's the reason why I decided to study philosophy later.
All right. What is actually special about philosophy? What is important in philosophy for you?
Yeah. The main thing that I love in philosophy is that philosophy is always asking questions. So it's not so much about doubting, but it's more that there are things that you see, but maybe they are not the way you see them. Maybe there's something behind. And philosophy is always asking the questions to get the answers of what is behind what I see. You understand? So it's not about saying no, I don't believe it, or doubting. It's more asking questions. Is it the way that I see it, or is there somebody who has a different perspective? Does he look at the same thing in a different way, and what might this person say about about the same object that we are seeing? That's what I call different ways of, or new ways of seeing, because we all have our very individual way to look at things.
All right. Is there an area of philosophy that you are mostly concentrating on?
Yes, that's applied ethics. So, it's always easy to be in theory and think about how things might be in theory, but I think it's very difficult to and real challenge to apply thoughts that we have in philosophy, where there's everything very logical in theory, but when it comes to practice, when it comes to reality, then you have to find ways to apply these values and these ethics to the reality and to the situation in which you are now.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Would you say that maybe there is a kind of a connection between your understanding of philosophy and your artistic work? Yeah, because you are in artistic work because you do a collection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, could you explain that?
Explaining the combination of arts and philosophy.
Yeah. I'm trying to see that it's a connection between
Mhm.
your work in philosophy and your work in the artistic work.
Yes. So this has also to do with applying. Means I have when I do a piece of art or when I'm creating a lamp that is just now shining on me. That's a lamp that I created, or I also create sculptures for growing my plants. To give you an answer, it's when you make a piece of art, you have a vision, you have an image in your mind, you have an idea how it might look like. But as soon as you start creating, you face reality and you see, okay, this plate is so heavy, you need another material. This doesn't fit to this piece. So you always have to put things together. It's always experimenting. And in philosophy, when you ask questions, you always, you are standing here and maybe there's another stone and you can put your foot on that stone and then you find another way to go. It's always looking for ways of thinking about things. Always it's somehow experimenting. Of course, when you take material to work with, when you take a clay or you take other materials to build a sculpture with that, you know how it functions as a material. You also know as how theory in philosophy or a thought is functioning logically. But when you apply that to reality, then you find out that it's not that simple or not that easy as it seemed when you were just having it in your mind and thinking about it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Now, apply philosophy. That is what you made mention of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, could you help us clarify um, how do you okay, the question I wanted to ask is what is actually the basis of applied philosophy? What
The
is
business.
the basics? What is the basis? What are the things, the
Mm-hmm.
fundamentals of
Yes.
applied philosophy?
Yes. So we are all, when it comes to economy, we are talking about purpose driven, that we are driven by purpose, especially in your work. And we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of my life? What is the purpose of my work? But we also, the one thing is that there is the purpose, but on the other thing, to make a living from our work, we also have to find ways to get a return on the invest of our work. And so there seems to be sometimes a conflict between purpose and profit. And so I when I apply philosophy to my work, then I say, okay, how can I combine purpose and profit in a reasonable way so that it makes sense? Or how can I um, create an organization where I can make decisions, where the people in the organization can make decisions, but still following their values. Because, for example, when you look at sustainability, if you want to make a sustainable business, then you have to be very careful with the resources. You have to be reasonable with that. But on the other hand, if you want to make a living from your business, then you have to be careful that your business is competitive. You can create a very sustainable and very reasonable product, but when you take care of the resources and nature and sustainability, then maybe the product will be much too expensive and not competitive. So that's like in philosophy. It doesn't help you when you have nice theories. You have to make a proof of concept. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. So I read a book a couple of years ago. The book is titled The Science of Getting Rich by Walter Wallace. That is an interesting book. So what was saying in the book, actually, that it was encouraging entrepreneurs or people who are improving themselves within the field of business, that they should lean more towards collaboration instead of competition. For the fact that he was saying in the book that if you get rich through competition, you will usually throw down the ladder that you climb to get rich, because you don't want another person to meet you, because you are competing, because you continue to compete. But as he said, if you collaborate, you are never losing. It doesn't mean now that for somebody to get something, you need to lose. Both of you can get something at the end of the day. Like now, the kind of game that we play in life, we have the zero sum game and the positive sum game. In that, okay, a zero sum game example would be in politics or in football, where two people cannot win at the same time. You cannot have two people as president in a country. Only one must be president. The other one necessarily need to lose. If you lose, you are not even considered. You just lose. That is it. But there are other games that we play where we can both win at the same time. And if you ask me, I think in the world that we are living in today, we need more of this positive sum game where we are all winning. Because we can really all win. We don't necessarily need to lose for another person to win. So this is a very key message that I take away from Walter Wallace's book that was written in 1910. So from the point of view of philosophy, what would you recommend to entrepreneurs or people in business in terms of how they define what is value for them? Because the value that they define now will condition what they do and how they interact with other people, both their customers and their fellow business people. What do you say about that?
So I hope I understand what you said right. My answer is I will do a poetry slam tonight. It's called "The Power of Purpose Failing Forward." So that's what I'm trying to say with that poetry slam tonight is that we have from New Economy and also from this idea of win-win situation and of co-working and collaboration. We know that, and this is also very purposeful, I think, is we know that when we try out, when we experiment, that we will make mistakes, that there will be a failure. And you know the saying of failing fast, learning fast, and my idea is, when I would like to give an advice to young entrepreneurs, is not being afraid of failure, and even not being afraid of failing the purpose or failing the value, because when you set a goal, when you want to start a business, then you have your mindset, you have your values, you have your code of conduct, you know how to do your business, or you have a lot of theories on how to do that business. And you also have a very clear mindset on that. But when you go into the market and you start to find clients for your product, then you also face reality, and then you have to adjust your business, and also you find out that you make failures, and then you have to reset or start again. So it's all about trying not to be perfect, but more trying to be trying to adjust yourself or adapt your business to the situation you are in. So this is one thing, and the other thing that I really love as an idea and would like to recommend is no longer thinking in ways we thought before in old economy, and that is thinking about products, thinking about there's a market. When we think about products, then we in the old economy way think about products, then we say, okay, there's a market out there. There are people who could be my clients. They could have this or that need, and I will try to make the right product for that need. So, and then you take a lot of resources and material, and then you create your product, you make a prototype, and then you go out and have invested a lot of resources and also money, but also resources from nature. And in the end, maybe you find out that your product is, or that people are not interested in your product because you thought it's a good product. So this is why I say the idea of product as a service is very good to have as a model in mind. Means that I look at people and that I see, aha, okay, this is their need. That's what they want. Okay, I do not do a product, but I approach these people and I ask them what they really need. And then I try to find ways to solve that problem or face that need that they have. You see the difference?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for that. You made mention of purpose at a number of occasion. Is this your responses? Could you explain from the point of view of philosophy, what is purpose? And why is it important for entrepreneurs and businesses to have it clearly defined in their dealing with other people, whether customers or fellow business people?
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So when we talk about purpose, we say, for example, I did it on purpose. We do it on purpose. So purpose, there are two things. One thing is the reason and the answer to the question of why am I living? But the other one is what for? So, we always, when we try to find our purpose, we ask ourselves, what is my why? Why do I get up in the morning? But we can also ask ourselves, what for do I get up? That's different, because this why is really this huge question on what is the sense of living? Why are we here on Earth? What should we do in our life? And the other thing is more useful for an answer for today, because we cannot have a whole answer for a whole life. We can be very glad and happy when we wake up in the morning and we know what for we are now leaving bed and doing something. You understand what I'm saying? The difference?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I understand that. I understand that. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Now you were talking of the old economy and the new economy before, no? Maybe somebody might be wondering, the new economy, what was actually inherently wrong about it that we needed to develop a new model of economy?
So what was wrong in the old economy and what is now better in the new economy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When it comes to there are so many things. So first of all, there's the Club of Rome. They found out in 1972 already that we should be careful and reasonable with the resources that we have. And even though we knew it already in 1972, we did not stop taking all the resources from the world, from the whole world, not just of the raw material from the earth, but also raw material like human resources. There was this expression called human capital. I think that speaks for itself. So, and now, new economy. I think when we talk about purpose and when we think about our why and also about our what for, am I doing this job or not doing this job, that we are talking about being self-caring. At least we care about ourselves. And when we start caring about ourselves, the next step could be that we also care about others, means care about nature, care about animals, and first of all, caring about our employees and the so-called human resources, in an expression that I don't like.
What do you
I
don't like?
think there's a huge, sorry, I think there's a huge difference.
Okay, what is it that you don't like about the human resources?
Well, I think that we have to care for the resources in the world. We have to think about an economic way of acting with sustainability, but we should also be sustainable and also thought and careful about our neighbors and also about our employees, because when you treat them like resources, then you treat them like machines that are there to produce things, products, to sell them to clients, and to find out who could be your best client and to sell the best product. That's the focus and that's the value you are oriented on. But when you have a look at your employee and have a look at your neighbor or the one you are collaborating with or co-working with, then it's a different kind of treating men and women and colleagues and employees, and it's also about slavery.
All right. So you said before that you are doing consulting for businesses, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you consult for? What solution are you really bringing to them in business?
So one of my favorite startups I worked for recently was busy in boob technology. The company is no longer existing because we had a nice exit strategy. But so Boop technology is profiting technology by machine learning, and it's also because in profiting technology, or when you buy a bra as a woman, there's a lot of returns when you shop online because of the different sizes and so on. And so this is also very useful for sustainability. And there, my main task was, the challenge we had was to turn that business from B2C to B2B. So to sell that service to companies rather than to private clients.
All right. Now, when you look at these businesses that you have consulted with, okay, say in the past, what would you say was their main challenges that they complain to you about that you help them to resolve?
Well, one main challenge or one big challenge was that it was in the time of the COVID pandemic, and so people did not shop in stores. So we had to, when we were trying to find B2B clients, then of course these were the stores, and the stores were closed. So we had to be very very quick with finding solutions on selling that service to customers, B2B customers online. And that was a huge challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when you look at Germany, where you are currently in Germany, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you also have the chance to be able to look at other economy. What would you say is a kind of the difference? Because now today there is the global village square, if you want to call it like that. No, that through the advent of internet, you can almost interact with anybody in the world. So the economy is no longer confined to the national border. You can then create your goods and services and supply to people that are hundreds and hundreds of thousands away, kilometers away from you. So which means we are now intertwined with what we are doing. So that brings in the compare and contrast all the time, no? So what kind of comparison would you make? Maybe say American economy, for example, or people in UK compared to Germany that you know of.
You mean what is the difference in the mindset and the values?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it sounds a bit like a cliche, but my experience over 25 years with US and UK, so Anglo-American ways of doing business, is that they are very much oriented on the return on invest. So it's a very capitalistic way of making business. It's not really an answer to your question, is it?
Well, if you can also say what is the position of looking at it from the point of view of German businesses, how they operate, then we can see if they are the same or they are different.
Well, it's a bit. I don't like too much to go into cliches and biases. I think that in Germany, okay, we there is this, of course. I don't like to talk about cliches. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's not that I want to repeat these cliches. I don't feel well with that. I don't want to repeat cliches about Germany and the German way of making business, and also not about the American way of doing business, even or especially since it's all in a huge change right now. That's also what makes me hesitant to really feel well in talking about that. Can you understand why?
Yeah, I understand it. I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, so looking forward, what do you think is the best way to approach businesses? Because, like I was just describing before, the business environment is not very dynamic, almost fluid, as it were. No? So, what
Yes.
do you propose as a better way to do business? Of course, putting into question the ethics, the value, the purpose, of course, all the things that you have talked about in this conversation.
Yeah. So, my answer to that is, even though I'm already very long in this German or Western economy and business, I really love the way business is understood in young leaders in Africa, for example. So I'm in contact and also working together with young leaders in Africa. And I see that there's a different mindset, and also I see very, very good potential and good way of making a change in life and mindset and values when it comes to young leaders and development, youth development, and leadership for young leaders. Because it's better, really, it feels so much more positive and motivating to talk with young leaders who are at the beginning of their own business or starting their own company, because there's so much positive energy. Of course, sometimes, and I know it for myself when I was young, and also what I said about being exploring the world, that sometimes one is naive. Okay, one is naive, but it's not always being naive. It's also having a fresh mind and having a positive attitude or a positive way of thinking. And I think that we need this kind of confidence, as I call it, creating a future with confidence and creating our own confidence. And that's why I'm not willing to talk about cliches about capitalism or cliches about the old economy, because I'm not at all focusing on that. I'm focusing on confidence, on the future, and also I always see that the glass of water is half full.
All right, that's lovely. So, what would be your final thought here to conclude this conversation that we have had today? What would be your message that to conclude it? And before then, how can people find you, those who want to maybe connect with you?
Yes. One can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Theophano Christiane Klapper. Yes, I also have a website. My business is called Sublime of Change. It's sublimeofchange.com. And so, conclusion, dear Obehi, my conclusion is it takes a whole life to grow young. That's exactly what I experience when I talk about being in collaboration and co-working with young leaders in Africa, that it feels like, for me, it takes a whole life to grow young. That means you can work for 30 years in businesses, different kind of corporate or in startups or even self-employed. When you are, and I hope that I'm a wise woman. When you are wise, you know that it's still day one. It's still day one. If you get up in the morning, ask yourself, why did I get up, and what for did I got up this morning? And it's still day one, and it takes a whole life to grow young.
Thank you so much, Christiane. I really appreciate the time and the sharing here. There'll be a lot of valuable information here. And of course, I encourage also our listeners, those who have listened to this point in the podcast, to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Let us know what you think about it. Perhaps what the Christian has said makes sense to you, or maybe you want to contest any part of it. It's okay. We're not saying that you must agree with us, but we're saying let's talk. So share your thought, and we'll respond to you. So thank you so much again, Christiane. I really appreciate your time.
I thank you very much, and be well soon. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you very much.